Hello there, it's your favorite realtor, Toma Johnson, and today we're going to be talking about how you, the first-time home buyer in California, can purchase your first home. I hope you're looking forward to this as much as I am, because I've got a lot of good information for you. I won't make the video too long, but I'm going to make sure it's nice and informative for you. But if you have any other questions and you'd like to move forward in the home buying process, please feel free to leave a comment or contact me directly. I've left my contact information in the description. I've also left a pre-qualification link in the description as well. It goes directly to my website, and there you can answer a few simple questions to let us know where you are in the home buying process. If you like to kind of just get started and see where you're at, feel free to click that link and fill out those questions, and someone from my team will be contacting you shortly to see what we can do to help you purchase your first home. Just so you know, I am a licensed realtor in the state of California. I primarily work in the Inland Valley of Southern California, which is Temecula, Murrieta, Wildomar, Lake Elsinore, Canyon Lake, and Menifee. But I'm more than happy to help you in your San Diego County home, with Riverside County, Orange County, Los Angeles, or San Bernardino. Feel free to reach out, and like I said, either me or someone from my team will be getting a hold of you. Today we're going to break down that process for you and let you know what to expect when it comes to buying a home. And the whole process is basically simple, but I've broken it down for you in 5 different segments just to try to make it easier, and those segments will be these. First, you're going to assemble your home buyer team. The next step is you're going to be searching for homes. Then once you search a home and you get an offer accepted, we're going to open escrow. And then after we've released contingencies, we're going to be working into close of escrow. And then after close of escrow, we talk about the move in. All right, so you ready? Let's go. So the first section we're going to be talking about is assembling your home buyer team. The first thing that you're going to want to do is hire a real estate agent. And most people say, well, why is that? I just want to look. I'm just looking. The reason you want to hire a real estate agent, and as soon as possible, is because we know how the real estate process works. We know how the home buying process works. And there's nothing better than having an expert that you can rely on, that you can call for questions, and we can answer those questions quickly without being pushy or trying to hurry you into buying a home. Because see, that's not what we're here for. We don't sell homes. What we do is facilitate the purchase of homes by making sure everything is in order and making sure you don't make any mistakes along the way. So hiring a real estate agent is really important because, again, we know the process. You want to make sure that you're working with an agent that does this on a full-time basis and not on a part-time basis, because the full-time agent is very familiar with the industry. They know what's going on. They got the finger on the pulse, and they're going to be able to better assist you in your home buying process. The second part of your team is the lender. Now, lenders are also known as home loan officers or loan originators. And it's very important that you have the right lender in place with your real estate agent, and they form a team. They form a bond to help you get through your home buying process smoothly. One thing I do want to warn against, and I have nothing against banks and credit unions. However, when you're talking about purchasing a home, banks and credit unions tend to go a lot slower than your loan originator. So it's better to have a lender who's familiar with home purchasing. There are also great companies that do lending on a very efficient level, like a Rocket Mortgage or Loan Depot. Those companies are very good at handling the purchasing process. You know, they're very efficient, they communicate well, and that's what you want. You want a lender and you want a real estate agent that communicate very well and keep you in the loop at all times, because guess what? This is your house. This is your life that we're talking about. It's a big decision. You want your home buying purchase to go smooth as possible. There's a lot of ebbs and flows and ups and downs. There's multiple people involved, and you want to make sure that you navigate that as smoothly as possible. And lastly, as part of your home buyer team, what we're going to do is make sure that you get pre-approved. You get all of your documents in place with your lender. Your lender is going to ask for things like your ID, federal ID or state ID. They're going to ask for pay stub, for proof of income. They're going to ask for bank statements. Just make sure you do everything in your power to get that to your lender as soon as possible, within 24 hours if possible. But if not, make sure you follow up and you get those taken care of. Many people put those simple things off, the things that they need to get their pre-approval. And if you don't turn those things into your lender, you're not gonna be able to get a pre-approval. And if you don't get a pre-approval, chances are you're not gonna be able to buy a house unless you're buying cash. And over 90% of homes are not purchased with cash because, let's be honest, most of us do not have that kind of money in the bank. So you need a mortgage loan, you need a lender, and you need to make sure you get all the documentation to them as soon as possible. By the way, let me take a quick moment out right now. If you wouldn't mind doing me a favor, if you wouldn't mind hitting that like button and also subscribing to my channel, it really helps me out. And also, if you hit that notification bell, that's going to let you know that I just dropped a new video and I'm looking forward to bringing more content to this channel. So please make sure to give me a like, subscribe, and click that notification bell. All right, y'all, you ready? In our next phase of this home buying process, you're going to be searching for homes. Your agent is going to be sending you listings of homes in the area. Now, you can also check listings on things like Zillow.com and Realtor.com, and Homes and Trulia. But really, the best feed that you can get is from your agent, because that feed is going to be coming directly from the MLS. And that's fast and it's super convenient and easy. You don't have to worry about advertisements or filling out any more forms if you get those listings directly from your agent. Now, during the initial phase of the home buying process, when you were talking to your agent, chances are your agent filled out a buyer information sheet and they found out everything that you need for your new home. They asked you how many beds you need, how many bathrooms you need, if you need a specific amount of square footage or more, or if you need a larger lot, or if you need a horse property, or if you have special needs members of your family, like a child who has special needs, or you have a mother-in-law or father-in-law who's living with you and you need a bedroom on the bottom floor. All those things that you need in particular, you would have shared with your agent at the beginning when you were building out your home buyer team. Together, you and your spouse, or you or your spouse and your agent, or some combination of those, you're going to be reviewing those listings and looking for the homes and the neighborhoods that best fit what you're looking for. You want to drive by those neighborhoods and see if it's a good fit for you on the outside before you go ahead and look in on the inside. Once you know that that home is what you like the neighborhood, then you can schedule an appointment with your real estate agent to go out and take a look at the inside of the home. And as of 2022, the market has slowed down a little bit, prices have come down, but you're still going to run into a lot of situations where it can be a multi-offer situation where there are many buyers who are interested in the same house as you. In the event you are in that situation, it's extremely important to have a great agent on your side who can help you navigate a multi-offer situation. Moving on, once you've seen the homes that you like and the homes that you want to put offer in, you're going to set up a time with the agent to discuss what offers or what price you want to offer on the homes. And that agent is going to help you put together offers to make on the property. And those offers are going to be submitted to the listing agent for the listing agent and the seller to review. In the event you're in a multi-offer situation, it may take a few days for the seller to review all the offers that they have, and hopefully yours is the winner. And if there's only one offer and that offer happens to be you, you have a much higher chance of getting that offer accepted than you do when there's multiple buyers in the situation. Once your offer or several offers have been submitted and one of those sellers accepts your offer, now you have an accepted offer. And once you get an accepted offer, you get to go into escrow, which is the next phase of our home buying process. So now you have an accepted offer, you have your pre-approval, and all the I's have been dotted and the T's have been crossed. Both the seller and yourself, the buyer, have signed the contract and you're going into escrow. What's going to happen next is the listing agent is going to submit that contract to the escrow company that's been chosen on the contract. Oh, and by the way, after you submit an offer, many times there is a counter offer that comes back from the seller. Maybe your offer was too low and they want to counter you with a higher price. Or maybe they didn't like the title company or the escrow company that you chose in your offer, and they may want to counter that with a different company. That's okay, that happens all the time. But once the counter gets signed and the purchase agreement gets signed, you're good to go to open escrow. All right, so at the beginning of escrow, the escrow company is going to reach out to the listing agent and the buyer agent and ask them to supply them contact information for the buyer and the seller. And the escrow company is going to reach out to you individually, and they are going to send to you what's called an opening packet or an escrow packet for you to sign and sit back to them. There's going to be a form for you to fill out that details to them how you want to take title. Whether you want that title to be in your name, or you want it to be in the name of a trust, you want it to be in the name of you and your spouse, or just you only. That's when you're going to determine all of that information and send that back to escrow. It's very important that you fill all that information out and you send that back to them right away. So once escrow is opened, we also go into what's called a contingency period. So the contingency period is a period of time, usually between 17 to 21 days, that you have do all of your inspections, and make a solid decision on whether you want to move forward with purchasing this home. And up until the end of the contingency, you have every right to cancel that contract and get your earnest money deposit. Now, your earnest money deposit is due 3 days after the signing of the contract. Now, when you make your earnest money deposit, it's very important that you follow directions to the T. Most of the time, you're going to be wiring those funds into the escrow company. They are going to supply you with the account information and the phone number to call them. You're going to go to your bank and you're going to call the escrow company from your bank, and you're going to let them know you're making the wire now. That way they can be expecting it. And the reason being is there's a lot of fraud in real estate, and you do not want to be caught up as a victim of wire fraud, meaning you wire your funds to the wrong place. The best way to do that and the safest way to do that is to go into your bank, call the escrow company from the bank, let them know you're making a deposit, and then you make the deposit right then and there. They will verify all the information, you get that to them, and then away we go. And that's your earnest money deposit. Now, keep in mind that your earnest money deposit is fully refundable if you cancel anytime during the contingency period. The next thing you're going to receive is seller disclosures. And the seller's duty, if they go under contract with you as a buyer, is they have to disclose all of the pertinent information about the home that they know of, right? So if someone died on the property, which is a big one, if there's any major repairs that need to be done or have been done on the property, they need to disclose that. If anybody died on the property in the last 3 years, they need to disclose that. If it had a paint job, if it had a roof job, if it had a major plumbing issue that had to be repaired, anything that they know of that could be pertinent to you making your decision, they need to clarify that and let you know within 5 days. So what you're going to receive in that 5 days is those disclosures. You're going to receive a seller questionnaire and also a transfer disclosure statement. In those two forms, they discuss everything and anything that goes wrong or right with the home. They need to discuss that with you and disclose that information so you know you're not getting a lemon. And as long as you have all the information, you can make a proper decision as to whether you want to continue with the purchase or not. Now, once you've reviewed all of the seller disclosures and you have a full understanding of what's going on with the home, you're to sign those seller disclosures, and your agent is going to get those forms back to the seller so they have copies of it and you have copies of it, and everyone knows what's going on. Also, during this contingency period, you're also going to be scheduling a home inspection. Now, it's very important that you hire an independent home inspector. We do have preferred home inspectors that we like to refer to our clients, but since you want somebody that's a third party, it's better that your real estate agent has no affiliation or does not know your home inspection company. That way you have a third party that only has your best interests at heart, and that's what's really important. The next report you're going to be getting, especially if you're buying this home with a loan, is you're going to be getting that appraisal inspection. Now, the appraisal inspection is done by a certified real estate appraiser that the lender assigns to come look at the property. And the appraiser's job is to make sure that this property is worth the amount that you are under contract for. Now, if the appraiser feels like it's not worth the amount that you are under contract for, he may come back with a lower amount. In the event that you have a lower amount on the appraisal than you do on the purchase contract, then you as a buyer will be responsible for that deficit. Your buyer's agent can't go to the listing agent and ask if the seller would be willing to renegotiate the price. However, the seller is under no obligation to lower that price. And if the seller decides that they do not want to lower the price, then you will be liable for that deficit. And if you don't have enough funds to cover that deficit, then the seller has the right to cancel the purchase contract. Now, if you have a very good agent, I want to bring that up to you again. If you do have a very good agent, the agent should be able to help you negotiate that and get that down, or find a way to make it work, which is what normally happens. Normally, you get it worked out, whether the seller comes down in the price or the buyer has a little bit more funds, they can come up and cover that deficit. In any event, if you can't make it work, you have every right to cancel the contract and get your earnest money deposit, as well as the seller has a right to cancel the contract if you do not have enough money to cover the deficit. During the opening of escrow, you will also receive a title report and a natural hazard report. The title report is basically an insurance policy that tells you that the title is clean, and when it's transferred to you, it's guaranteed by that company that no one else can come and claim that title for themselves. So it's really important. The natural hazard disclosure is telling you if there's any natural hazards in the area that can affect your home. meaning fire, water, earthquake, whatever natural hazards are known or common to the area that you're buying the home in. You're going to get a report from your natural hazard disclosure company stating all that information, so you have all that information as well. So those reports will be included with your appraisal report and your home inspection report, along with some various other ones depending on what area you're in and what is required by the listing agent company or the buyer agent company. Okay, so once that appraisal report is in and that home inspection report is in, all the seller disclosures have been signed and you sign your escrow pack, now it's decision time. Because you as the buyer, it will be your turn to release the contingencies. And what you're doing when you release the contingencies is you are letting the seller know that you are ready to move forward with the purchase and you don't have any other qualms, and you do not plan on canceling. You still have the ability to cancel the contract. However, your earnest money deposit is liable and can go to the seller if you cancel after you release the contingencies. So the point is, before you release contingencies, let's make sure that everything feels good, that you like where the home is at, you know what things need to be fixed on the home, and you know that the appraisal is good and everything feels good and you're ready to buy your first home. Lastly, I do want to mention, before you release contingencies, is to make sure we get a conditional loan approval from the lender. And what a conditional loan approval is the underwriter has reviewed all of the documents and they agree with the pre-approval status, and they send you back a conditional approval saying, hey, we want to give you this loan. We just need you to give us this, that, and the other. So there's probably a few more documents that they may require. Usually it's an updated amount of your bank statement or an updated, 2 or 3 pay stubs to make sure that you're still at your job and everything looks good. So then we'd be going into our next phase of buying a home, which is the closing of escrow. So once you have all your conditions in that the underwriter has asked for, they will issue you a final approval. And a final approval is basically, let's go. We're getting ready to close the house. So once you get that final approval, they're going to issue what's called a clear to close. Clear to close is you can now send the rest of your funds, which is your down payment and your closing costs, to escrow. We can go back to the bank and you're going to wire those funds to them the same way you did with your earnest money deposit. And once your funds are in, those funds are called cash to close. So once the cash to close funds are in, the lender is then going to release their funds to the escrow company as well. So you have your funds that got deposited and the lender fund that got deposited. And the next step is for the escrow company to work on the transferring of title and getting that recorded with the county clerk. So once the escrow company records the title with the county clerk, then they will send out a statement and let you know that the escrow is closed. Voila, you have close of escrow and you are the new title holder of that home. Congratulations on your new home purchase. Now the last portion we want to cover is the move-in. How does the move-in work? Basically, the buyer's agent is going to meet up with the listing agent to get the keys for your new home. And then you and your buyer's agent are going to schedule a time to meet at the new home where the buyer agent is going to hand you your keys and you get to have your new home. Sometimes there's a situation where the seller needs a few days or maybe even a week to move out because they don't have the funds to move yet. So they're waiting for the proceeds of the sale of their house to come to them before they can facilitate the move. But you will know that information before closing escrow, even before opening escrow. But assuming that the seller has already moved out, which 80% of the time is the case, you'll be able to grab your keys and move into your new home. You also want to make sure that you transfer all the utilities into your name. You also want to make sure that you or your buyer's agent, if you have kids, find out which neighborhood school is for you if you're going to be sending your kids to a neighborhood public school. And voila, you have your new home, you have your keys. Congratulations. Normally, your first mortgage is going to be due on the 1st of the month or the 15th of the month, depending on what day of the month that you closed. But your lender is going to give you that information ahead of time so you know when your mortgage is due. Usually you have about 30 to 40 days before your first mortgage payment is due, which is a good thing. All right, and that's it for me. I just want to remind you guys, if you don't mind, give me a like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. It really helps me out, really helps my channel out. I hope this was good information for you. But if you have any questions or any comments, please feel free to leave them in the comments section. If you want to reach out to me or my team, I have all of my contact information in the description below, as well as a link to a page. If you want to get pre-qualified and start your home buying process today, go ahead and click that link. For For now, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you next time. Peace.